going to be doing a webinar on showing support and appreciation to 4-H and youth supporters during difficult times. So we are in a global pandemic with the coronavirus at the moment, and we are all quarantined and secluded to our homes. But however, there are still lots of ways that we can show support and show our appreciation to all of the people that support us and support our 4-H youth development program throughout the year. So whether that is people that have bought cakes and baked goods at our cake auction, supported youth during the livestock market sales at fairs, or people that have donated to other benefits throughout the year. So first, I'd just like for everybody to introduce themselves and for everybody to tell a little bit about how they're doing, how's your schoolwork going since you're home, those types of things. So we'll take a few minutes for everybody to introduce themselves and just kind of say how things are going for everyone. So we're going to go ahead and get started. But first, I want to ask you, what does showing appreciation mean to you? I also would like you to think about, why do you think we should show our appreciation to others? Why do you think it's important to show appreciation to others? Why do you think we should do it? Any thoughts on that? All right, so you may be asking, why do we show appreciation? Why is that important? So everybody likes to feel valued, and everybody likes to be recognized for the good things that they do. So that is just human nature. People like to feel appreciated. And when you take the time to show your appreciation to someone else, it can boost spirits. It gives people a passion and a purpose to continue what they are doing. It builds self-confidence, self-esteem, and improves self-image. And ultimately, it gives additional energy and motivation to work harder. So I think we've all been in a time where somebody has said, "Thank you so much for what you did," or "I really appreciate you helping with this large project." And that really makes us feel good and makes us want to continue to do those types of things. So small acts of kindness and things that you can do to show your appreciation and your gratitude to those people, whether they spend a lot of dollars with the program and 4-H, or whether they're donating a lot of time, just taking a few minutes to show appreciation really makes them feel good and makes them feel like what they're doing is worthwhile. And usually it gives them motivation to continue. So another question, do you think there is a difference between just saying thank you and actually being appreciative? And if you think there is a difference, I'm curious to know why you think there's a difference. And if you say no, there is no difference, I'm also curious as to your thoughts. All right. So there is a difference between saying thank you and actually being appreciative. So when you say thank you, you may use words or phrases such as thanks, thank you, thanks so much, and usually it's verbal to somebody. But when you actually show appreciation, that means that you are performing an action. So you're actually showing someone that you appreciate them, or that you appreciate them for something that they have done. So you're actually performing an action. So there's lots of different tips of how to show appreciation. So no matter which form of action you decide to take to show your appreciation, you always want to be genuine. So you don't want to thank somebody or write them a thank you note and then expect something in return. So you always want to be genuine. You're just doing it from the goodness of your heart and because you want them to know that you appreciate what they are doing. You also want to be specific with your words. So a lot of times when we show appreciation, as we said, we're performing action. So it may be writing a thank you note. It may be writing a thank you email. You want to use someone's name. You don't want to just say hello, or you don't want to say to whom it may concern. You actually want to use somebody's name. So if you are writing a thank you note to your buyer from last year's market sale, you would actually want the letter to start with Dear Mr. Smith or Dear Mrs. whoever. You actually want to use the person's name so that it is very personalized. If you are thanking somebody in person, you want to make sure that you always give them direct eye contact. That shows that you are only concerned about what you are saying to them, and it also demonstrates you being genuine. And you want to have positive body language. So you want to show your appreciation and your thanks as well through your body language. So that could be a handshake as you say, thank you so much for purchasing my cake at the cake auction tonight. So something very direct, and make sure that you're always making good eye contact. And you can also think of special ways to show your gratitude or show your appreciation. So you don't always have to spend a lot of money or any money at all. So if you don't have a card at the moment and you want to write a thank you note tomorrow for your buyer from last year's fair, or somebody, or even your club leader, and thank them for what a great job they do and all the opportunities that they give you in 4-H. You can make a homemade card. Sometimes homemade things actually have more value to the person you're sending them to than something that you've purchased. And always remember that if you're going to write a thank you note, that handwritten notes hold a lot of value. So we are in very much of a digital age where people send emails and you're communicating on your phones and over social media. So not very many people are actually writing thank you notes by hand anymore. So lots of people still appreciate those. It shows that you've taken the time and the effort to actually sit down and write something out. So I'm going to give you a list and lots of ideas of different ways that you can show your appreciation to someone. So as we've said over and over, you can write a thank you note. So that is one of the best ways of how to show appreciation, and we'll talk about how to craft your thank you note later. You can also write a thank you email. So if it is something that is pertinent to an email, you can use email. You can also make an email a digital thank you card. So there's lots of different websites and different platforms online where you can design your own thank you cards. So you can put pictures in them and they're really neat. So when the person receives the email and they open them, a lot of times they have animations where it actually opens an envelope and the card comes out and the person can read what you've wrote. So it's almost exactly like opening a real envelope and opening a real card. So that is another option that's pretty neat. If you know the person well, you can always pick up the phone and just have a conversation with them, especially with the situation we're in right now. People like to hear from other people. So you can always pick up the phone and call somebody and tell them how much you appreciate them and thank them for what they've done last year and just ask them how they're doing. So I think that would go a long way with the pandemic, and since everybody is quarantined at the moment, that is a great way to show appreciation. You can also make a short video and post it on social media. So if the business or the person has a Facebook page, you can always tag them in it. And I think that would be something really special. So you might want to actually write out a thank you note or some type of thank you message before you record it, so that you can practice that and you know exactly what you're going to say. But I think that would be super amazing to do. It also will give your if your buyer owns a business, it gives the business extra promotion and something that they can also share on their social media platforms. So I think that would be something that's really neat. You can also just write and post a thank you note to social media again. So you can write something out, not too long, but that gets to the point, and post it on your page and certainly tag those others, or post it directly to their pages. And if you have your sale photos still laying around or any other project photos that you might have laying around, you can always put those inside of a thank you note as well to make it a little bit extra special. In other times when we can actually leave our homes, tangible gifts are always great as well. So you can actually hand deliver your sale photos or hand deliver baked goods with a thank you note. They really like those things. You can shake their hand and tell them face to face how much you appreciate them. So once we can get out again, that is something that I would certainly encourage you to do as well. So we're just going to get into a little bit of how to actually write a thank you note. So how you construct the thank you note. So you want to greet the giver. So we kind of talked about that. So you want it to be personal. You want it to have their name in it. So everybody likes to see their name. So that's just human nature as well. So make sure that you write their name, dear Mrs. So-and-so, dear Mr. So-and-so, so that it is definitely personalized. And then you want to express your gratitude. So you may say, thank you so much for purchasing my market lamb at the Washington County Ag Expo and Fair last July. So you want to be very precise in what you are thanking them for, and you want to be very detailed in what you are thanking them for. And then you can talk about what you've used the gift for. So if it was for the sale of your market lamb last year at the fair, you can say, I look forward to using the profits made from my lamb last year to purchase my project this year. Or I have utilized this money to put in my college savings account. So people always like to hear what you've done with what they've given you. And then grace. So you can say something at the end to just kind of tie things together. So you may say, thank you so much again for your generous support in purchasing my animal last year at the fair. So something that kind of ties it all together. And there's lots of different phrases that you can use instead of just saying thank you. And then you want to give your regards. So that may be sincerely or some other type of regard like that. And you sign your name. Typically, thank you notes should be written in ink, so with an ink pen, so in blue or black ink. Pencil sometimes is very hard to read and doesn't always look as professional. And even if your handwriting is poor, it is still more personal to handwrite a thank you note than what typing is. So even if you just have a piece of paper at your house or some type of notepad that you can write a nice thank you note on, that is still better than typing and printing something out. So I just real quick want to cover how to address an envelope. So when you put your letter inside of an envelope, you usually fold it in thirds, and you can kind of look up to see how that's done, but basically you just take the bottom third of the paper and fold it up, and then you take the top third of the paper and fold it down. So when you open it, it kind of opens as a letter. If that's how you're writing it. If you're actually writing on some sort of pre-printed thank you card, typically they have their own envelope and they just slide in. So when you address your envelope, no matter what size envelope you have or what kind of envelope you have, you're going to put your return address in the upper left-hand corner. So as you can see, you would put your name and then your address. So your street address on one line, and then the next line, the city, state, and zip code. That way, if the letter were to get lost in the mail or it cannot be delivered, they will send it back to you. Then in the upper right-hand corner is your stamp. And then in the middle of the envelope is the address of the recipient. So the address of who you're sending it to. So you want their full name. So it may be Mary Smith or it may be John Doe. And then if they own a business, you will put the business name underneath. Then again, just like your address, you would do their street address. And then the next line is city, state, and zip code. Typically, we're mailing within the country, so you don't have to put United States under the bottom, but if you were mailing it out of the country, you can also write what country it's going to. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit about showing appreciation over time. So particularly in our animal science projects, we see some buyers that repeat and buy a use animal for many different years. And many years sequentially. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how you try to secure some of those buyers to get a buyer that may purchase your animal year after year. And that really comes with showing appreciation over time. So you may say thank you to someone, but actually showing them lots of appreciation and really getting them to believe how appreciative you are, it happens over time. So it's a gradual process. And that equates with staying in touch. So staying in contact with them. So you may want to set reminders with yourself to check in with your buyers and supporters multiple times over a year, especially at the holidays and times like this and times of need. So even though you cannot help a business financially right now, you can show your support to them, and that is kind of like a pick-me-up, and it makes them feel good, at least for a short period of time. And I think in a time like this, a very trying time, just a letter of appreciation is something really great that people would really appreciate. So here's just kind of an example of a timeline for a July fair such as ours. So the fair in July, so you may have some sort of thank you note or thank you gift ready before the sale even starts that you can give to the buyer right after. And here I have listed an animal, but an animal or a baked good, anything goes through the sale. That way, as soon as you get that item or that animal put away, you can go straight back to the sale ring and you can go up to your buyer and shake their hand and look them in the eye, as we talked about before, and thank them. And you have a little bit of a thank you. Even if it is a thank you note, that's great. So they get something immediate. There is immediate gratification, and that you are showing your appreciation immediately. Then many fairs, just like ours, require a thank you note to be submitted to the 4-H office. Those are typically mailed in the middle of August. So about 30 days after the fair, they are getting another form of appreciation. You are showing appreciation again 30 days out. Then your timeline kind of starts to extend. So sometime in the fall, when you get your market sale picture, you may take that to the business with a plate of cookies or something like that, and you can actually hand deliver your sale photo. So a lot of businesses still like to get those sale photos, not to mention it really shows a large amount of effort on your part if you are hand delivering that to them and making that contact again. And then around the holidays is always another great time to take some sort of baked good or even a tin of popcorn or anything to show your appreciation again. And then in late spring, you can do a combination thank you note and buyer letter for the upcoming fair, inviting them back to the fair. At this time with the coronavirus, I would say that just a thank you note right now would be the best thing. You probably want to postpone asking for support or inviting them to any type of fair, just because we don't know the status of the economy and how all of this is going to impact our small businesses. So it may be a little presumptuous to invite them to spend money at this time. So I think just a thank you note as a pick-me-up to them would be very much appreciated. So because we are talking about ways to show appreciation in difficult times, such as the one that we're in, there are just a few notes that I wanted to go over to avoid during this time. So these may be things that are definitely appropriate in our more normal time and when our society is more normal. But at this point with the pandemic, these are some of the things that I would probably avoid. So as I said, don't utilize a thank you note at this time to invite buyers to this year's sale. Asking for support, especially monetary support at this time, is very overwhelming for a lot of small businesses. So just a thank you note at this time. You can follow up with an invitation in a few months once we kind of see how things are going, if that seems to be appropriate then. Obviously, don't ask for any type of monetary support or donation at this time. And also just remember to continue to follow all the laws when you're showing appreciation. So you probably won't be taking baked goods to any businesses while there is a shelter in place. So just keep in mind those things. That's why I wanted to give you a lot of options for you to show appreciation. Ways to show appreciation that don't even require you leaving your home. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. So certainly if there are questions, here is my contact information, as well as Amanda and Amy's. If you were to have any questions about writing thank you notes or ways to show appreciation, please do not hesitate to contact us.